Welcome or welcome back. We're doing your new moon horoscope for the new moon in Virgo happening on Monday, September 2nd, 2024 at 9:56 p.m. Eastern. That is 6:56 p.m. Pacific time at 11 degrees and 4 minutes of lovely Virgo. This new moon is going to be the last lunation cycle before we head into eclipse season with our first eclipse of the season and our first eclipse on the Virgo Pisces axis. The nodes are still in Libra Aries, but this is going to be an off-node eclipse in Pisces, a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 18th. So there is a lot of astrological energy going on. We have the ruler of this new moon, Mercury, because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, and Mercury is stationary direct, but still in shadow in the sign of Leo, also making square to Uranus. And we have a lot of action happening on the South Node in Libra. We know that we've been traversing this North Node Aries, South Node Libra transit for almost a year and a half now as the nodes prepare to shift into Virgo and Pisces. But right now, currently, we have Juno, asteroid Juno, as well as Black Moon Lilith and Venus all conjunct to the South Node. And Venus, of course, is the ruler of the South Node right now. So Venus passing over the South Node is quite a pivotal moment over this last year and a half as we have been traversing and letting go of Libran themes, our relational themes. The themes and things related to our relationships, our one-on-one connections, especially romantic partnerships. But don't forget to set your intentions, guys. This is a new moon when we have a conjunction with the sun and the moon. So set your intentions around the themes of Virgo. You can also look to the house in your birth chart that Virgo rules. Specifically, you want to look to around 11 degrees of Virgo to see where that falls in your natal chart. We know that Virgo is the sixth sign of the zodiac. It is mutable Earth, and it is ruled by planet Mercury. Of course, the co-ruler would be Gemini. Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo. But when we're in Virgo compared to Gemini, this is a lot more grounded mercurial energy, not quite as airy as Gemini energy. During Virgo season and Virgo energy in general is really when we're cleaning shit up. We're getting things in order. We're getting things very precise and decluttering. We're decluttering, cleansing. Virgo has a lot to do with our health and well-being, specifically the digestive tract. That's where a lot of our health and wellness starts, in the digestive tract and what we're putting into our bodies. But we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's more or less. We are getting things decluttered, cleansing, and purifying things before we move into the equinox, when we move into Libra season. And then the themes of the astrological energies shift into more relational dynamics. When we're in the first half of the astrological year, these are very much internal themes and themes to do with self. Once we get to the equinox and we move into the second half of the astrological year, that's when themes start shifting outwards in our relationships with other people. Virgo energy is really an energy that has to do with our service to other people. I always look at the Pisces and the Virgo axis as an axis of service, whether that's practical service or physical service in Virgo or spiritual service in Pisces. They are an axis of service to others in the world. But we do have to remember, in Virgo energy, we have to give service to ourselves first in order to be able to give to others. I always say that Virgo energy is the perfect union of mind and body because we have the mercurial element or an airy element to Virgo, even though it is an earth sign, but it's very much about the physical body and our physical vessel. So we're able to take that knowledge and wisdom that we gain from the mind and integrate it into our physical body and our physical vessel, because our physical bodies are an extension of our spiritual connection. Virgos can sometimes be seen, or they are pretty much known as the perfectionists of the zodiac. They are very knowledge-driven, very practical, very efficient. Efficient is a great word to use to describe Virgos because they're very detail-oriented, and attention to detail is very much highlighted. It's like the little things in life, the little things that make your life easier, and the little things that you do throughout your day. It's about cleanliness and modesty, health and wellness, and intellect. Some of the negative traits that could be associated with Virgo would be, very nitpicky. Virgo energy tends to be overthinking, and I very much associate anxiety with Virgo energy. Some people will associate Gemini with anxiety. I think it's both, but for some reason, it always comes through in Virgo energy more prominently than Gemini energy. Virgo energy can be a bit easily annoyed, distracted, critical, skeptical, and judgmental of others. All right, now being that this new moon is in the second decan of Virgo, this decan of Virgo is ruled by Saturn, or the Nine of Pentacles. Now the Nine of Pentacles is when all of our hard work pays off. Nines in the tarot typically indicate some sort of choice or compromise. It's when you have to decide if you're willing to push through to the very end. Even if you have some sort of satisfaction or, on the contrary, some sort of dissatisfaction, are you able to, or are you going to make the choice to continue on? The Nine of Pentacles is really a card of self-reliance, self-efficiency, sacrifice, self-development, and loneliness in the pursuit of your goals. It's achievement, independence. It's achievement, independence, luxury, abundance, rewards for your efforts, and material security, but she is standing there in the card alone. So yes, she has made it to the top successfully and acquired her material gains, but she hasn't quite made it to the Ten of Pentacles, where you see a family, and that is, always the card that I associate with the family legacy. But ultimately, it is a card of success and getting to the top and the sacrifices you have to make in order to get there. And the symbol for Virgo is, of course, the Virgin. And this is actually rooted from the goddess of the Roman and Greek pantheons, the goddess Asteria, goddess of justice and purity, and it represents harvesting the wheat in connection to the natural world. It is cycles of growth and abundance, wholeness, divinity, sovereignty, preservation, and one's essence and innocence, purity. And also some people associate this deity with the Virgin Mary. And just to clear up some misconceptions, the term virgin is not necessarily associated with sexuality, and that is a common misconception, just most primarily in the Bible and in Christianity. The Virgin Mary was not a virgin, just so everybody knows. All right, now diving into the aspects, guys. The first aspect I want to talk about is going to be the opposition to Saturn. So this new moon is in opposition to Saturn in the sign of Pisces. We know that Saturn has been traversing through the sign of Pisces since 2023. Let me just see here how exact this aspect is. It's about 5 degrees, so it's still pretty significant for the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon are pretty sensitive, especially when we're under a new moon. But this opposition to Saturn is very interesting. To me, this really slows things down. We might be realizing that something that we're trying to achieve or trying to do is a lot more work than we initially thought it was. And Saturn really has a way of reminding us of time. So, achieving our goals and attention to detail, or editing something, or like going through and decluttering something, or reorganizing something, it's like we're procrastinating, right? Saturn is a restrictive energy. So there's this slowdown, or this procrastination, or this delay to something in regards to Virgo. Look to see where you have Virgo in your chart. This could also be like somewhat of a resistance to change or new, because it's a new moon. So we're planting seeds to be harvest, and Virgo actually is a sign of the harvest, but we are going to harvest these seeds in 6 months when we have the full moon in Virgo during Pisces season of next year. Saturn really reminds us of the need to maintain structure and order, right? He's very much about discipline. He's an angry father figure or grandfather figure, and he reminds us of the realities of this dimension. Like, what do we need to do? Both Virgo and Saturn energy remind us of the things that we have to do. So he's reminding you of the little things that we have to do in Virgo, and he's also reminding you that you need to prioritize self-care, or you could lead yourself to burnout. Like, are you taking care of your physical vessel? This could be like a slap in the face, like, hey, are you overworking yourself and not nourishing your body, mind, and spirit? If so, then Saturn, you might get a wake-up call or a reality check from Saturn. This can also really ground out our emotions, or even suppress our emotions to some extent. It's like we have a tendency to approach things from a more logical and analytical perspective, especially with oppositions to Saturn. Saturn oppositions, I don't like Saturn oppositions, and I can personally vouch for this in my own personal chart. But, sometimes Saturn, a lot of times Saturn will bring up fear. So this could be fear of emotional expression, fear of change, fear of new, but specifically in regards to your emotions, it's like there's a fear of being vulnerable or expressing your emotions. So we really need emotional awareness and acceptance of our own emotional needs. So there's a balance that has to happen between our responsibilities and our self-care, or our self-nourishment, our emotional nourishment, etc. And that is really the only major aspect the new moon itself is making. So we're going to jump on over to the ruler of this new moon. The ruler of this new moon is, of course, Mercury. As we talked about, Mercury is still in the sign of Leo at 23 degrees. Mercury is now direct, but is still in shadow. And Mercury is squaring Uranus, which is very interesting because Uranus just stationed retrograde. And So he's still stationary, right? And when any planet is stationary, it's going to amplify the energies like very much. It's very strong. When planets are either stationary, direct, or retrograde, it doesn't matter which direction they're stationary. When they're stationary, their energy is amplified, right? But Mercury is now direct, but in shadow and squaring over to Uranus. This is a lot of nervous tension, and we've been experiencing this nervous tension for quite some time. It's nervous system disruptions. Again, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. It's very airy energy, very like electrifying energy, and Mercury rules both Virgo and Gemini, which both can be associated with anxiety. I don't know, this can really just scatter our energy in a million different places. It can cause overthinking, but on the bright side, it could bring like new ideas, new perspectives, or just new viewpoints to something. You know, this could be just finding out about something, or weird communication, either issues or just like weird things regarding communication in some regard. Like you might get a message from somebody that you haven't heard from in 20 years. I don't know. You know, it could potentially be some sort of news or information or communication that is upsetting as well. You know, you never really know with context to Uranus, as I've mentioned in plenty of my horoscopes in the past. Uranian energy is very hard to pin down or pinpoint or predict anything with Uranus. All you can predict with Uranus is that it's unpredictable. Mercury is in the sign of Leo though, so there is something here about needing to express our like individuality or our authenticity. Just make sure that we're communicating from a place that is right for us, right for self. Try not to be like a know-it-all. Try to regulate your nervous system and be open to like new ideas, perspectives, or adjustments that might need to be made. All right, and the other biggest energy I would like to talk about is going to be this South Node. So we know the South Node is in Libra. The South Node is at 6 degrees of Libra. We have Black Moon Lilith at 7 degrees, and then we have Juno at 8 degrees. So Black Moon Lilith and Juno have both passed over the South Node already, and then we have Venus at 5 degrees. So this is a very like complicated energy combination because we have asteroid Juno, which is the wife of Jupiter in Roman and Greek mythology, and she is the asteroid that represents marriage and commitment. Then we have Black Moon Lilith, which is like the repressed dark feminine energy. It's like repressed sexuality and kind of rebellion against the masculine. And then we have Venus, which is the planet of love and sensuality and, you know, our value systems. So the ruler of the South Node passing over the South Node, Venus passing over the South Node, it's not quite there yet, but it will be. It's only 1 degree off. This is a culmination point of everything we've been learning over the past year. This is a release. We're letting go of anything that is no longer serving us, very much a transformational energy, and we're releasing anything that we have to compromise for in regards to our value systems, and specifically in relationships. Romantic partners are certainly highlighted. This could certainly be bringing up things from past relationships from years ago, like things that have been repressed with Black Moon Lilith, commitments from the past that you had to repress part of yourselves in order to be with that person or in order to make that person happy, or just because you thought you needed to. We're releasing all that. So this could be current relationships, it could be past relationships, but either way, we're releasing something in regards to our relationships where we have not been fully and authentically ourselves. We're really reassessing our values and what we want moving forward. We are prioritizing our own needs and our own values and realizing where we are not willing to compromise. This is also very much a self-love energy. You know, this is Black Moon Lilith, and we have asteroid Juno, and we have the South Node and Venus. It's about self-love and realizing that our worth is not determined by our outer appearance or how we look or how others perceive us. You know, we are all human. We are all sexual beings with Black Moon Lilith, and it's not about hiding any parts of ourself. It's about fully accepting ourself in our truest expression. And it's our dark feminine expression too. Whether you're a man or a woman, we all have masculine and feminine within us. Lilith is also very much an energy of our desires. So where have you not been honest with yourself about what you desire? And by acknowledging this, you're in turn integrating the shadow. You're being realistic about what you truly want, what you truly don't want, and what your true needs are. This really brings up for me as well, like unrealistic beauty standards with Venus there, and we're realizing that that is not the way to live our lives anymore. You know, Libra energy is very much about the aesthetic of things and how things look to the outside world, and we're just realizing that that's not really who we truly are. Like, we are the raw, dark feminine. We all have a raw, dark feminine within us, and it's about time that we start owning that, right? The South Node is almost out of Libra. It's time for the facade of the pretty, like, cakes and the pretty pillows and all that bullshit to fucking to go. It's really about embracing who you truly are. We are trying to cultivate new ways of being in relationships, whether that's romantic or platonic or family relationships, whatever the case may be. We're developing new ways of being in our relationships with balance, harmony, and, empathy and compassion, but also not sacrificing our own needs and desires. Also with this energy, it's very much a paradoxical energy because we have Black Moon Lilith, which is very much an energy of wanting independence. And then we have Juno, which is very much an energy of partnership or commitment. So it's like two sides of the same coin. And we have to learn to compromise in some way with these two energies in conjunction and conjunct to the South Node. What is no longer working for us? Are we too independent where we don't want, are we a commitment phobe, or are we just overly reliant on our connections with other people or being in a relationship or whatever the case may be? Are we overly reliant on the commitment aspect of our relationships? There is certainly a happy medium where we can find happiness in being independent, but also being in connection with others, having one-on-one connections. Remember who you are. Don't get lost into the energy or the synergy of two people, right? You still have your own individual identity that is separate from the relationship. I also thought it was interesting that this energy is square to Ceres, and yeah, Ceres is up there at 7 degrees of Capricorn. So this energy is squaring the South Node, Venus, and asteroid Juno and Black Moon Lilith. And I don't know, this was just bringing up for me a contradictions in how we are approaching love. Part of us really wants to be nurtured, and this could stem from childhood. Ceres is an asteroid in our solar system that's very much like a lunar motherly type archetype. It's also it reminds me of a Virgo energy because it's very much about the harvest and food, but it's really a motherly nurturing type energy. There's a contradiction there between caregiving and nurturing, and not having our emotional needs met in some way. So that might be something to kind of ponder and think about, especially if you have anything at 7 degrees of Capricorn. And there is a lot going on for this new moon, guys, so I apologize if this is longer than usual, but looking at Mars, Mars is pretty much right there at the anaretic degree of Gemini, getting ready to ingress into the sign of Cancer, where it is in fall, but at the anaretic degree, it's technically at 2856 of Gemini, but it's right there almost at the anaretic degree. It's in square to Venus. So this is a masculine and feminine tension. Mars square Venus brings up a lot of sexual tension as well. I don't know, themes of sexuality could definitely be prevalent. And it's also square to Neptune, which is not an easy energy. Mars and Neptune do not get along. They're very polar opposite energies. But this is really... It's like being unsure about what you want or what you desire. There's a fog there with Neptune, right? Neptune in square. Neptune is at 29 at the anaretic degree of the entire zodiac, but 29 degrees of Pisces, the last degree of the entire zodiac, in square to Mars at the last degree of Gemini. And it's you're not really sure about what you want or how to go about getting what you want. Maybe you know what you want, but you're not sure how to execute the plan to get there. There's a lot of self-doubt with this, and it can also bring up a lot of deception. It's I don't like Mars square Neptune at all. It can bring up guilt, shame, or lack of confidence, lack of self-assurance. Also not really sure in the direction that you should go. It's frustrations, disappointments, being passive aggressive, perceiving things the wrong way. You could also have a crisis of faith and not really know what you believe in, or your beliefs could change rapidly, but it brings up a lot of deception type energy. It can bring up feeling weak or depleted. It brings up a lot of health issues. It brings up a lot of things, very much so. The key with this energy is to verify any information that you're not sure of. Verify everything, check the details, check the fine print, especially the new moon in Virgo. You want to pay attention to the details, be efficient, but look at the damn details, because you could perceive being deceived. You could perceive being deceived in some way, but really it could just be a Neptunian fog and you're not seeing things clearly. So you could feel like the victim. It brings up victim mentality. We need to communicate openly and honestly, but also trusting our instincts and our intuition. But do not get the ego, Mars, mixed up with your intuition, Neptune. This can certainly motivate creative pursuits and creative outlets and divine assistance in creative activities, art, crafts, whatever the heck it is that you're using. Creativity can be heightened with this energy, but we need to remember to ground it into the physical so that we can actually do something with it, right? And I have been talking about this Jupiter square Saturn for quite some time because it's a little bit of a longer lasting aspect. So I did talk about this on my last horoscope, so go check out the full moon in Aquarius video I did for more information on Jupiter square Saturn. But this is just tension between what we want to expand on or where we want to go, and being and feeling held back or restricted from Saturn. So it's similar to that Neptune square Mars energy, but Jupiter square Saturn is really like putting a limitation on our optimism. It's like a balance between our long-term ambitions or where we want to go, what we want to see, what we want to do, what we want to learn, and like the bigger picture, but also realizing that we still have responsibilities. So it's like all the planets are heavy hitters in this new moon. It's hard to pick like what energy is most prominent. I think the South Node is probably going to be, you know, one of the most important areas of the chart to pay attention to. So definitely look and see where you have Libra in your chart. Of course, Virgo, and if you have any mutable sign placements, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces between like 8 and 14 degrees, check and see where that is. Any mutable sign placements or mutable sign placements between 8 and 14, and then especially if you have any planets between 8 and 14 in the sign of Virgo. But that is all I have for you, I think, for this new moon in Virgo, guys. We are going into eclipse season, and it is going to be a very eventful eclipse season. Also, I will be coming out with my intention oils. This one is my Psychic Visions oil. I am trying to set up my online shop, but these are pure gold. I have one for quite a few different intentions. I've been making them for years. I figured maybe I should try to sell them. So if you guys want them before my shop is up and running, you can message me on Instagram or shoot me a email. Also, you can try DMing me on TikTok. It's just hard for me to get back to all the messages on TikTok, but these are amazing. And I've had a lot of compliments on them from friends and family and people that I've given them to. But yes, they are intention oils, and you can use them for a million different things. You can put them in your hair, on your body. They smell amazing. And they have intention. So yes, you can get them for like money, protection. This one is for, you know, your intuitive abilities, psychic abilities. And I do this every time I do a tarot reading or do a video in regards to astrology or tarot, or I'm doing a reading for a client. But yes, that is all I have for you guys. Happy new moon in Virgo. Happy almost eclipse season energy. I am wishing you all the best, and all the information for personal readings will be in the description box below. Much love, guys.